welcome back to another episode of The Slice brought to you by AFLPLAY. This show is for the playmakers, for anyone who's ever enjoyed footy on the field or from the sideline, like me. We will be serving you a slice of play every week right here on The Slice.
That was your second go at the intro and you nailed it. I told you. Last week I put all the faith in the world in you. I believed in you and you've repaid the faith more than I ever could have hoped.
I felt like a little kid there looking at you for like approval. I was like, am I doing it right? Not sure.
Yeah, absolutely nailed it. And we are back in the
Yes.
Melbourne studio.
I'm back in Melbourne. I'm in my traveling era.
You
Like I
liked it.
just, I'm a jet setter. I'm actually feeling a bit jet lagged because I've come all the way from Sydney.
Yes, that is a long journey. What a long, tiring journey that is. But you have made it. You like Melbourne so much you came back. Is it possible we see a little cheeky move from you coming over sometime soon?
Look, I mean, you might be able to pull my arm.
I would
We'll
love it.
see. My name is Starr.
I'm Rog and I am a footy nuffy and you're an aspiring footy nuffy.
I am. I feel like I've come a long way over the past few episodes. Like if I go back and listen, I won't even know who that woman is.
Give me a couple of terms from the footy world that you might remember.
Handy point.
Handy point,
Yeah,
love that.
We love a handy point.
Which is?
It's when, so if you are up by 6 points and you get that extra 1 point, that's a handy point because then the other team would then have to get 2 goals essentially.
I'm never
so it puts
gonna-
you in a safe zone.
I'm never going to ask you again because you have quite clearly nailed it. You've got it down to a T, down to a science, and it is still local footy finals. A lot of them have wrapped up. There is a couple that is still going. And if you have been lucky enough to celebrate a premiership, soak it in. It is the greatest moment of your life. There is nothing better. There's nothing better than when the final siren goes and you're with your teammates in the change room. You're soaking it in, thinking about those 30 weeks leading up to the game, the pre-season, the spews from your runs. It's all built up to this moment. You've outlasted all the other competition and you've managed to stand atop of the mountain premiers. There's no better feeling.
Rog,
Enjoy it.
You need to get into coaching, mate. Your pep talks
I'll
are
get
just
there.
slaying at the moment.
I think I will. And if you fell a bit short right at the final siren, don't worry. That's what next season's for, and you'll get there. Adversity is where you get the best out of yourself, and you'll get better for it. Don't get better, get better, they say.
Well, okay, I feel like we need to make a line of T-shirts, and you've just said about 5 things that would work on that T-shirt.
You think so? Yeah, maybe I should be if I could ideally go back in a time machine and be some sort of a philosopher or something like that.
Okay, yeah, I ship that.
Or is that a bridge too far?
No, I think that's fine. I pay it. So, should we get into our 6.1 point?
Absolutely.
For the week? You take it away. I took it away last week.
Yes, so this is actually a bit of inspiration from you, Star. You're rubbing off on me. I know that my footy nuffy is starting to shine through you, but you are also shining through me.
I'm so excited for this.
And that's because once upon a time, in my fitness prime about 4 years ago, I was a 5 a.m. waker and trainer.
Love
I'd
that.
get up out of bed, I'd dominate the morning. I'd feel like the biggest king because while everyone else was still asleep, I was dominating the morning.
That's it.
Working the biggest sweat up you've ever seen. But I reached a bit of a lull, like a 2-year lull, where I wasn't a morning trainer and an occasional Arvo trainer. But I came to this week and I said, enough's enough, Rog. You need to go back to your prime. You need to go back to your best self when you loved yourself most. So I set the alarm for 5 a.m.
Rough in winter.
Rough in winter in Melbourne. Yes, it is hard. And my one pointer is that I didn't wake up. And I did that a few times. It was like, say it was on the Monday, the Tuesday, the Wednesday, and I just did not get up. And I would curse myself for the next hour or so that I was still up. I'd go, why did you not get up? But then it got to the Thursday and I had enough of feeling sorry for myself and letting myself down and feeling disappointed. So the 5 a.m. alarm went off and I still didn't wake up. 5:01, 5:10, and I still didn't get up. But 5:15 rolled around. I went, enough's enough. Got out of bed, went for that 4K run, which is nothing special, but I got it done. And now we're back in motion.
I feel like that's really good if you haven't really been getting up early in 2 years.
Yeah.
That's pretty solid, 4K.
You need the circuit breaker. Then once you get the circuit breaker, you're flying. I'm back.
So with your alarms, I have to know, are you the type of person who sets 5 alarms regardless, or are you
Never.
just snoozing in the morning?
Never. And I'm glad you brought this up because there's something happening in my household right now that is doing my head in, Star. It's frustrating me to no end. So as we know, I live with the Marmalade Boys, Checkers and Stray. And I don't mind the thought of having a 5 o'clock alarm, a 5:15, a 5:20, gradually waking up. they only set the one alarm, except they don't turn it off.
Oh, so they're just asleep while the alarm's going off.
I'm in the next room, and for 20 minutes, it seems like
So
the alarm's going off, and then it takes a bit of time for them to finally get up and about again. But no, I'm not the sort of person that sets multiple. I set one alarm, and then I'm up.
My boyfriend sets multiple and it's so annoying. And sometimes he'll just like turn it off and go back to sleep for about 2 minutes. And I'm like, just get up.
What's the point? What do you gain from that extra 2 minutes of sleep?
I'm such a light sleeper as well. So if there's any noise going on, like I'm up straight away.
I'm a heavy sleeper.
I'm sorry that you had to. You're a heavy sleeper, but you wake up to your housemates' alarms.
Yes. Well, when it's going for 20 minutes straight, I don't think that really doesn't qualify me as a heavy sleeper. I think that's more than reasonable.
So the Marmalade boys aren't getting up for their runs at 5 a.m.
No, they definitely aren't. What is your 6-pointer and 1-pointer?
So I feel like a lot of the time we jump onto this show and our 6.1 point are kind of like intertwined into one, you know, like both ends of the story. So last week, you'll know if you tuned in, and if you didn't, what are you doing? We had a chat about, Rog gave me some advice because you're right, you like that one.
Yeah. I'm like, what are you doing? But also welcome. Like,
Anyways.
please stay. But what are you doing?
So last week we had a chat. I needed some advice because I've just moved in with my boyfriend, and we had a chat about how do you approach the change in dynamic when you go from living apart to living together and noticing all these little annoying things that each other does. I mean, not me because I'm perfect. I never do anything annoying. But you gave me some advice and you said that, you know, clear communication was important.
It is.
And I've taken on your advice.
That is sensational.
I'm going to say the 1-pointer is that the issues that I was facing with the towel being on the floor, they sometimes still happen. However, my 6-pointer is that we are moving towards a better situation. So instead of them being on the floor for 5 days a week, maybe it's just 2. So we're getting better. It's an improvement, right?
I do like that you're celebrating progress, but at the same time, I don't know if we should celebrate, you know, someone who was messing up 6 times a week. Now they're only messing up 4 times a week. I think the 6-pointer should be when they've learned the lesson and they celebrate 0. But celebrate the little wins.
But also, on top of that, another 6-pointer. We have now made a deal because obviously there are a lot of things to do around the house and things need to be evenly dispersed amongst everybody who lives there, just being the 2 of us. I've spoken about this on earlier episodes. Why my one thing that I hate is putting my washing away. Like my clean washing will get washed, it'll come in off the line, it'll go into the basket and it will just sit there because can't be bothered putting it away, if I'm being quite honest.
Yes,
so
what an issue it is to have to put the clothes away. You poor soul, Starr. Every time I see you every week for the slice, I do forget. It slips my mind the hardship you went through every week.
I know.
I should treat you with a little bit more kindness, knowing how hard your week has been.
All right, give it a rest. So Matt Rains and I, my boyfriend, we've actually struck up a deal that is now his job to put clothes away. I'll wash them and he will fold them and put them away.
That is a huge win.
I know.
That's more of a 6-pointer than instead of always leaving the towel on the floor. Now he sometimes leaves the towel on the floor. I do like that as a 6-pointer. Though
I feel like I win more from that second 6-pointer though because it was something that I didn't like doing and now he just does it and everybody wins but mainly me.
There is an element of me, a suspicious sort of dubious part of me that goes, are you just turning Rainsy into a little bit of a slave?
What?
Are you just getting him to do all your work for you and that's your idea of a happy household?
No, because I do a lot for him and it's just the one thing I really don't like doing. So I was like,
what do you do for him?
I'd wash his clothes.
Oh, yeah. Well, that'll do. That'll do.
Yeah, I'm a loving partner. I also am sometimes a head chef because I really like cooking. And you haven't cooked dinner for me yet.
I haven't cooked dinner for you yet. Well, I'll cook you up some herb crusted salmon and happy days will be here to stay.
When in Melbourne.
Great 6-pointer.
Footy is life for you.
Well, it is. That is no secret whatsoever. It decides the emotions of my whole week.
And there's a lot of emotions that come, the ups and the downs, the wins, the losses.
The roller coaster is what makes it worthwhile.
Yeah, you've been through it. But what if I told you that this entire time for your whole life, you could have actually been controlling the outcome of these games?
I have been controlling the outcome by walking out and getting 40 disposals and 3 goals every game. I control the wins. Don't you worry about that. That's quite obviously a joke. I have actually never once in my life got 40 disposals. I am an insipid footballer.
But your team, Collingwood...
What do you mean control the... Don't you dare say anything so disrespectful.
No,
again.
I'm
Starr,
not. Wait, is that not your team?
Are you having me on?
What's your team?
Are you deliberately trying to get me a little bit hot under the collar? I'm a Carlton supporter.
Carlton, sorry.
Don't you dare be so disrespectful again. Otherwise, this will be the last episode of The Slice.
The Slice is ended.
We ever have.
Okay, so...
What do you mean, control the destiny of a team? I don't quite understand.
Using the powers of manifestation. Your face.
Star.
Are you privy at all? Have you ever manifested anything into your life?
I feel like we've made so much progress over the last few weeks, and you've gone and just done a complete 180 and sent us back a million miles. The way you win a premiership, Star, is by training the house down, is by getting together with your teammates and formulating a game plan and a game style that will beat the opposition and win you a premiership. This manifesting, Saturn is at 45 degrees, which means he's happy and you're sad. I don't quite know if that's how you win a grand final.
Okay, what if we combine the powers of, the strategic, the training, all of this, with a bit of manifestation? Because what manifestation is, really, and I'm sure you do it and you don't even realize it, is thinking about the outcome that you want to happen, speaking it into existence, bringing all the good vibes.
I actually do that, yes.
See?
But for some reason in my head, when you said manifesting, I'm thinking horoscopes. I'm thinking you're thinking
manifesting is like thinking about what your ideal outcome is, or like your dream moment in your life, and taking action to kind of make that happen.
Oh, if you can see it, it can happen.
You're a manifestor.
Is that what manifesting is?
Yeah.
I thought manifesting was like, if you're an Aries, then that means that you're gonna have a sad day on Tuesday.
No, that's horoscopes.
Oh, right. My bad.
Okay, Rog, so now that you're on board with my manifesting, I thought it would be fun.
It turns out I manifest all the time.
Exactly.
I am a massive manifester.
You just didn't have the language for it.
No.
But what I would love to do is kind of like a little quick, I know you're already a manifester, but just like a little quick crash course to make sure that you're up to speed on all the things that you can do. So then you can go home after recording this episode today and hopefully manifest some things by next week.
Okay. What do I have to do to manifest?
So, Rog, we've just discovered that you're actually already a bit of a manifester. So I feel like it's kind of in the same vein to think about pre-game superstitions and little things like that, because we know that a lot of athletes will have their rituals and things that they do. They have to tick off everything on their list in order to play a good game. So do you have any?
I don't believe in the superstitions, and I was always the one that was taking the Michael Mouse out of my friends who did believe in the superstitions.
Really?
The ones that put the left socks on before the right. I know someone that would change their boots at half time of every game to like from the black boots to the fluoro because they thought that would spark some sort of change in their game. I don't believe in any of that stuff. I believe in if you put your best foot forward, if you know, I do believe in manifesting in the sense that if the day before the game you're not thinking about what can go wrong, you're imagining what's going to go right. You're excited about kicking the goal. You're not anxious about how you're going to miss the goal. That is a manifesting I believe in. But manifesting it by using superpowers like out of the Marvel or DC universe by, never wash your mouth guard because that'll wash out the bad luck. There are some people that wouldn't wash their mouth guards. I had one bloke, Daniel McKenzie.
We're outing him.
Great mate, Matt. Great friend of mine, Macca. He never washed his Guernsey, his top. He never washed his top because he thought that would give him peak performance. So his long sleeve Guernsey, all season he never washed it once. I'm not about any of that stuff. I'm about rocking up, playing the way you train, and that'll give you the best peak performance.
Well, there you go. Well, to contrast that, I actually have a little bit of a superstition when I'm training in the gym. So if I go for a heavy deadlift, I like to do 2 stomps.
What's your heavy deadlift? What do you deadlift?
120.
I do 125.
Yeah, we can have a little session together. So I like to do stomp, and then like pull the slack out of the bar and then go for it.
Wow, where did you learn that? Where did you sort of...
I feel like I just developed it on my own because I saw everybody else having all of these, like some people do these really robotic movements with their arms before they go for a big lift. And I was like, I want to get amongst that.
Routine actually is important. It's the same with a set shot in football. Everyone has it. Do you know what a set shot is?
Oh, like when they'll take like a few steps back before they go for a kick?
Yeah, when they're shooting for goal. You do know what a set shot. That's actually, that is a 6-pointer for Starr. That is incredible. But everyone has their own routine and you can tell the players that don't because they always miss it, always shaky. Mine was, and it's not something I had to use often because I Didn't get many shots on goals. Don't you worry about that. But it was 6 walking steps, 6 jog steps. I had one hand slightly above the other, like Brendan Favola. Head over it. My nose was above the point of the football. Kick through the line of the ball, and I wanted my toe pointed at the middle of the goals, and that's how I'd kick the goals. But the thing was, I never kicked any goals, so maybe I was
someone
doing
who
something
didn't
wrong.
have any little rituals or superstitions, it sounds like maybe you did. You just didn't get to apply
So
them.
I am a manifester, and I am a ritualer.
We are learning so much today. Okay, speaking of pre-game rituals, we asked you guys on our AFL Play Instagram, what are your little rituals that you do before, Rog? I've got some here and I'm going to read them out.
Let's go for
Okay,
it.
we're going to get live reacts here. I have a really strict 40-minute warm-up routine that I have to complete. If anyone interrupts me, I have to start again.
No, 40-minute warm-up already. Too long, in my opinion. I would be gassed by that. How could you run out of game after a 40-minute warm-up?
Yeah. And how early do you have to get to the field to account for people interrupting you, or do you just not get interrupted?
And what counts as an interruption? If someone says, "Oh, g'day, Greg," it's like, "Oh, now I have to start again." Good one, mate. I was 38 minutes in. Or is it like someone steals your foam roller and throws it over the field?
It's like you're about to run on the field and someone says something like, "Oh, I'm gonna go back."
Yeah, that's a little bit over the top if I'm being honest.
But you do you, boo.
Yeah.
Okay, another one. I can't talk to anyone. I just put on my headphones in the locker room and zone out.
I don't mind that.
I understand that one.
Yeah, I like getting in your own zone, getting in your own space, and if that means being in your own little territory by yourself, I don't mind that.
And you've got to have your hype playlist. And speaking of hype playlists, we actually have our own. And of course, we'll leave the link in the show notes as always. We've had such a great response from the hype playlist.
Yes, and if ever there was a time to run through a brick wall, it's final season, which we are enduring right now. So get on the hype playlist, and I guarantee you that'll win you the big dance.
I'm going to start a quote book of Roger's best quotes. Through a brick wall.
This is number 1.
Hey diddle diddle.
Cat in the fiddle.
Cat in the fiddle.
Yeah. And number 3, run through a brick wall again.
But there's been a lot of finals chats over the past couple of episodes, and something I've been thinking about as I'm quite new to sport, and I feel like I've really thrust myself into it over the past couple of months. And I went to my little brother's league grand final. I've been to a lot of rugby games, and something like, maybe it's a feeling that I've experienced when I was younger playing sport, but something that's been at the forefront of my mind is like how much emotional turmoil there is with footy or with any sport when the stakes get really high. When you get to that point in the season, of course, losing sucks at any point, but especially in these finals. Like, I was watching my little brother's, he's 10 years old, my brother Indy, and he's in his league grand final, and it was such a tight game. Like, I was thinking, yep, the Maddo Tigers, they've been up, they are going to win. Like, this is so exciting for him. He's 10 years old, first grand final. And then in the last 20 seconds, the other team scored a last-minute try and they won. And just seeing, I don't know if it was because they were kids that made it so much sadder, like seeing how devastated all of these little humans were, I was like, oh my, this is actually really full on.
It's what is so magical about sport, and it's what makes it worthwhile. You know, in what other walk of life do you have such a roller coaster of emotions? Like, I could get a promotion at a job, you know, which doesn't happen often to me, believe it or not. But I could get a promotion at a job, and don't get me wrong, I'm stoked, and there is a bit of a fist bump, and it's like, yeah, this is good. This is a good progression in my life. I'm happy about this. But it's still not the explosion of emotion, like this overwhelming just, like, I carry on like I never do in any other walk of life. Like when I went to a game a couple weeks ago with my old man, Scotty Rogers. It was the first game of footy we've been to all year. We normally go all the time. This year we've both been a bit busy. And sitting next to him and having a big comeback win, watching Carlton win, and the big hug that we have, and this overwhelming sense of emotion, it's not something that we ever do. Like, me and my old man don't hug normally. It's not something that we do. But it's a beautiful thing about football. And if you want to have the highs, which of course we all want to, you got to have the lows, and you wouldn't have the highs without him. It's the yin and the yang.
Yeah, that's so true. Like that big outburst of like affection. You're like, I don't know what to do with this. I just have so many emotions. And I actually experienced that when I went to my boyfriend's rugby grand final on the weekend too. Yeah, I mean, Ray's has been getting a lot of shout outs in these episodes, but they won, and it was like the tightest game again, like similar to my brother's league grand final. They won, but we weren't sure that they were going to. Like, it could have been anyone's game down to the last second. Yeah. They won. The whole stadium just like, I don't know if it was a stadium, the field just erupted, and next thing I know, I'm hugging people I don't even know.
That's
it's
the
just
best
like,
bit about it.
Yeah.
That is, if I'm at a Carlton game And when the siren goes, I am running down the aisle. I'm hugging people
Yeah.
I've never, ever met before in my life. And it's about community. It's about coming together. It's a very special thing. So.
And then also to contrast that as well, where we were sitting, it was like, you know how sometimes they'll allocate sections for certain teams, right? Where we were sitting, it was quite mixed. So to see the difference, like we're all celebrating, we're screaming like, yeah. People are crying happy tears. But then literally 3 seats down from us, that's like the saddest moment for someone because their team has lost. So to see that contrast, I think it really makes you, just like appreciate how special it is. And obviously we know sport is a big part of so many people's lives, but I think in those moments I've really realized like, wow, this is actually, it feels really nice to be a part of, I think is what I'm trying to say. Like coming from someone who has dabbled in a bit of team sport, like, you know, when I was younger, but now I feel like we've done this show, I've been going to all of these games as well, and I'm like, it actually is really cool to be a footy nuffy.
And how cool is it when it was the Matildas? There's not like that feeling of camaraderie between a whole community. There's something special about when it's the whole country. You know, when the whole country got behind the Matildas and we're all supporting the same team, that was something phenomenal. But yeah, that energy, it can't be replicated in any other walk of life. And it's why we love sport and community sport so much. So make sure you get down, support your local community clubs. You can celebrate and get around the AFL clubs, the big leagues, and that's fantastic. But there is something so special about getting around your local community. All of you are just within such a small proximity of each other. Get around each other. You know everyone down there. It's a special thing, and good luck and to anyone that may be playing in a grand final this week.
I've got a question for you, Rog. So you know how parents really get into it at local footy games. What kind of dad are you going to be if you were a parent in the future? What kind of dad would you be on the sideline?
No, I would be the coach. I would want to be the coach 100%. Like my old man was always the assistant coach, which I loved. Like he was the sort of assistant coach like where it can go two ways, where you can have the parent that's a coach that always favours their kid, or you can have the one that always makes an example of their kid. And I feel like I was always the one that got made example of. So if someone had to run a lap, it'd be me running a lap just to show that he's not favouritising me at all. We used to give away JB Hi-Fi vouchers to best on ground. I played around 200 games. Do you reckon my old man ever gave me one voucher?
Nah.
Did I ever deserve one? No. But a little bit of favouritism just for your son would be lovely, please, Scotty Rogers. But no, I would be the coach. I would love to see my little boy with all girl, with all of their teammates, pass on all the messages I've learned from my great coaches. We saw Borgie last week, pass all the messages down. And that's a beautiful thing about footy as well. This is a generational thing. Decades and hundreds of years of knowledge getting passed down and filtered down to the next breed coming through. So, no, I think I'd be the parental coach.
What do you reckon who would I be?
You would be the mum who's probably a bit overprotective.
Do you reckon?
Yeah,
I probably would be actually, yeah.
I reckon you'd be the one where, you know, your little kid gets hits and they're fine, but you're running out on the ground. Everyone's there going, why is Starr in the middle of the ground during the 4 sirens here? But no, I reckon that'd be you.
I reckon I could definitely get around cutting up the oranges and bringing them as
You'd
well.
You'd be an orange quarter mum for sure. Yeah, 100%.
Orange quarter mum.
Righto, Starr. Are you a friend maker? Do you make friends?
I love making friends.
I love making new friends. A knock on me that, you know, some of my best mates say is that you make too many friends, Rog. You don't have enough time for all of them. And it is an issue. So many friends, not enough time.
Love
but
that.
I have made myself a new friend.
Ooh.
Which we love. A new friend in the workplace. His name's Mark. He's a forklift driver and he's just come across from New Zealand.
Ooh.
So he's not in touch with the AFL as of yet, and he's not really a sports guy in general. But I think, as we've talked about at length on this episode and others, you're not a football person until you are. Yeah. If you give it a chance, I guarantee you it'll be the best thing that's ever happened to you. And it is finals now, and I want to introduce Mark to finals footy. What better way to introduce him to the greatest sport on the planet than to bring him to a big final? But he doesn't want a bar of it. He reckons it's not for him, footy's not for me. And tickets, you know, when you're talking about a grand final coming up, they can blow out to hundreds, you know, they can be hundreds of dollars sometimes.
Quite up there.
They are hefty. But he does not want to come. How would you suggest I best convince someone, as you previously being someone that was not a footy nuffy, not really into it, how would you best suggest I get someone into footy that does not want a bar?
I feel like I thought you'd never ask, Rog, because I need to reveal something about myself. When I'm not busy being a hilarious content creator or being a host, I'm actually a mathematician.
You're kidding me, umpire. That one I did not see coming. There might be a couple of swerves throughout this season of the Slice. We had my coach Borgie rock up last week, and that surprised me. But there will never be another bigger surprise than you being a mathematician.
I am a professional mathematician in a little thing I like to call girl math.
Now it all makes sense. now it's starting to see a little bit clearer here.
Do you know what girl math is?
No, and I'm not sure if I care to know, but I feel like you're going to tell me
I'm
anyway.
going to tell you, and I've actually done the research, and I've got a proper definition of girl math.
Okay.
Girl math is a trend that originated on TikTok where women are explaining their money habits and spending choices that technically make no mathematical sense. So
Right.
what we're going to do today, we are going to use my expertise, a little bit of girl math, to help your situation, to convince Mark. So Mark doesn't want to go to the footy finals because the tickets are expensive.
It's all about context. It's expensive for him because he doesn't realise what he's spending the money on.
Yeah.
The greatest thrill of all time.
Yeah.
If he understood that this is the pinnacle of planet Earth, it'd be a cheap day out.
Well, I think taking my calculations that I've spent a lot of professional mathematician time doing, I think you'll be able to convince him. So let's just say for calculation's sake that a ticket is $300 to the finals.
Okay.
So Mark is saying I can just watch it for free at home on the TV.
He can. I don't think you
No,
would.
that's wrong, Rog,
not?
because how much does a TV cost to run?
$5,000.
Exactly. So if you turn off your TV for one night, you are then saving
5K.
money from... That's boy math. You are then saving money from the electricity. Also, you are a footy nuffy. You know a lot about footy, right?
I live for it.
Really, Mark coming to a game with you is an educational expense because he's there and he's learning.
He can claim it on his tax return.
Exactly. Everything's a tax write-off. It's fine. And also, going to a footy final makes you happy.
It does.
What does happiness lead to? A longer life.
And life is money. And money... I feel like we're doing a big U-turn here, and the point is that we're making money by going to the footy.
Oh my God, Rog, you're a mathematician
Yes,
too. A girl
math.
mathematician.
Did I just graduate from Girl Math Uni?
You did.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Where's my degree? Get me my certification. That is
It's
sensational.
the printer's broken, but I will get it to you soon.
Yeah, so right, by going to a game of footy, you can save yourself thousands of dollars. I'll tell that to Mark. Not just save, but make thousands of dollars. A wise man once told me, if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. But this is true.
Speaking of spending habits and girl math, have you ever made a really silly purchase?
I make silly purchases daily. I am the worst saver of money. It's actually like the biggest blight on my life. Like if I could learn how to save, I feel like I'd be a lot better person. But to give you an insight into how much of a spender I am and how silly of a saver I am because I don't save, with my very first paycheck when I got a job at the AFL store, when I was like 15, 16 years old. Do you reckon I put that in the savings account? Do you reckon maybe I bought mum dinner or bought dad dinner to say thank you for raising me to this point where I'm now able to work? Not at all. I got a few $100s for my first ever AFL store retail paycheck. And I walked past, I think it was like the National Geographic store or something.
Love
I was
that
like, oh,
shop.
this looks pretty cool. Let's walk in. I left with a ukulele and a pair of walkie-talkies. Why would I need a pair of walkie-talkies? In my head, you know what I thought? I was like, you know what would be cool? If on my lunch break at the AFL store, I learn how to play the ukulele, and then one day I walk out in front of all my mates and I'm just strumming the ukulele, and they're like, when the hell did you learn how to do this? And
That's so cool.
And my idea for the walkie-talkies is coming back to me now, is that I wanted to make friends with other stores in the shopping centre and find a best mate and give them the walkie-talkie. So then when it's quiet on our shift, I could just crank the walkie-talkie out and have like a best mate in the shopping centre. But I never found a best mate.
Oh, wait, so did you actually learn how to play the ukulele?
No. Like I didn't even try once. So we just had a ukulele in our storeroom. Like I realised as soon as I bought it, that's the worst idea I've ever had. But that's to give you an idea of how bad of a spender I am.
I want to go back to National Geographic store just for a hot minute. Do you remember the magic balloon that you could buy from the National Geographic store?
No.
It was like a little plastic tube and you get this gooey stuff over the top and then you blow like a bubble and you could close off the little goopy stuff. So you had this like giant bubble essentially. So it's like a DIY balloon. Did you never use that?
I thought I was a bit silly with the ukulele and the walkie-talkies, and you're buying a big blow-up gunky balloon.
Mate, magic
wow,
balloon.
that's actually made me feel a lot better about myself.
Magic balloon is going to set you back maybe $7.99. Okay, it's no premium ukulele.
Yeah.
I am actually pretty good with when it comes to saving and spending. However, if I get a random idea in my head, I'm kind of like you. You know, you thought of the ukulele. You're like, oh, yeah, I need to buy this ukulele so I can learn.
I think that the best way to live your life, and to counter-argue myself saying that it's a horrible thing to not be a saver, and it's the same thing for footy. I want to play on instinct. I don't want to think about what's coming next. I don't want to visualize 5 years, 10 years ahead. I just want to go with the flow. Whatever. If I see a ukulele and envision myself playing it, then I'll buy the ukulele. You know, I want to go with the flow of life.
So you're doing life strictly based off vibes.
Correct. Exactly right. Vibes in the moment.
I love that. Okay, well, I sometimes go off vibes as well. And I used to live in a share house with 4 other girls. Wow. One of the best times of my life. We had so much fun. But one of the common things that we used to do was pranks.
Right.
Yeah. And I was in
Were you the lead prankster or were you the prankee?
Well, being one of 7 kids, I've dabbled in a few pranks in my time. And, we've done pranks on this show as well. But one of my greatest purchases to this date was, are you ready?
I'm born ready. I've been waiting my whole life for this.
Last week, we spoke a lot about eggs.
We
had a bit of egg chat.
The forgotten egg, the soft boiled. Bring it back.
I bought a bouncy ball that was actually shaped like an egg.
I have seen this. I have witnessed it. I've been a victim of the fake egg. My old housemate Michael I live with put a fake rubber egg inside my egg carton.
Oh no, so you're trying to crack it and
I
it's not
was
working.
a confused man.
Well, I kind of had a similar idea, but what I thought I would do is, so I'd set up my camera, my housemate Lucy would walk past and I'm like, Lucy, think fast, or like catch. And then I'd throw it at her and she'd be like, oh my God, she's throwing an egg at me. But it would actually be a bouncy ball.
Yeah. Yes, that's housemate pranks are the best variety of pranks.
But the thing is that you've got to keep them on their toes, right? Like if she always thinks, all right, this is going to be a bouncy ball, this isn't a real item. So you have to bring in the real eggs in the mix of the rubber egg bouncy ball.
Yes,
so, you crack a few real eggs in there just to keep them aware.
Keep them on their toes.
And then you chuck in the bouncy ball.
And then they really will be walking on eggshells. Oh. The best housemate prank I've been a part of, I was the victim. And this was like top tier. It'll never be topped. As we know, or you may know if you've tuned into prior episodes, I host pub trivia a couple nights a week. And one of the games I play every week is called Sink or Swim, where I place a random item of food, say a avocado pip, into a jug of water, and they've got to write down if they think it'll sink or if it'll swim. Oh. What do you reckon the avocado pip will do?
I think it will swim.
No, it sinks.
Really?
It sinks. It's not hollow like people think. Oh. Anyway, one week I was going to do a little chocolate. It was Easter, so we had a lot of little Easter eggs lying around. I go to grab an Easter egg to take to my trivia. I rock up to trivia. I tell everyone, hey, we're playing sink or swim. Do you think the Easter egg will sink or do you think it'll swim? They write their answer down. I put it in the water. And what should an Easter egg do?
If it's hollow, it's going to float.
It's going
to swim.
It should swim.
Yes.
But this Easter egg sunk. And everyone's there going, Rog, you told me it was hollow. What the hell's going on here? What my housemate Michael did without me knowing, and he did not have this in mind. He replaced all the chocolates with little cherry tomatoes. His idea, he didn't know I was going to use it for sink or swim. He thought this will be funny. Rog, who loves chockies, I'm the biggest sweet tooth. Late at night, he'll go to grab an Easter egg, eat it, and it turns out it's cherry tomato. He didn't know I use it for sink or swim. So now people are yelling at me, calling me a cheat. They're like, you told me it was an Easter egg. You unraveled it. It's a cherry tomato. I'm like, I promise you I'm as confused as anyone. I have no idea how this cherry tomato has ended up in this chocolate Easter egg wrapping.
Stitching you up at work as well.
It was the ultimate stitch up. He got me a ripper. I still need to get him back for that.
So should we get some cherry tomatoes after this?
Absolutely.
All right, we've had some big chats today, Rog, but it's time to bring it in. It's the end of the show.
Absolutely. Every single week, Starr, I get so excited to see you and watch your footy nuffy energy grow, and you never fail to impress me with how much your aura continues to prosper.
Oh, look, mate, it's always a pleasure. And next show, we are going to be doing it in Sydney, so I'll have to come back to Melbourne another time soon.
I almost miss Sydney. I really do. do. I really do, as much as I love Melbourne.
We'll have to go on a hot girl walk together.
Can't wait. And we'll be seeing you next week right here, serving you a slice of play every week right here on The Slice.
Make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything from us. And we're also on other socials too. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok. So make sure you follow us at AFLPLAY. Can't wait to see you next week.
The Slice, presented by AFL Play, is hosted by Starr MCG and Connor Rogers.
We pay our respects to the traditional owners of the land and waters in which we record on.